Hello and welcome back. Today, again, we're going to do another grid, and this will be the last day that I track my scores. And at the end, I'll go ahead and average my scores for the last 5 days. Right now, my average is sitting a little over 7 out of 9. I'm pretty sure. So I got 2 8s, a 7, and a 6. Um, yeah, and today, I think I could do pretty well. I think I could actually pull off the Immaculate Grid, but as usual, I will take some guesses, some educated, some not so educated. Yeah, so we'll see how we do. Okay, so it is July 31st, last day of July, and you can see on the grid we have some pretty old teams: the Cubs, the A's, the Phillies, and Cleveland, as well as 3,000 career hits and MVP. Um, theoretically, I could do the Burns variation here because all of these teams would have had players that retired, well before my time, however you wanted to find that, and I'm sure we could find crosses for each of them. I might attempt that, but realistically, I don't think that's likely at all. So I probably will dip into some players that I remember playing. But to start off with, let's try some oldies here. Okay, so A's MVP. I'm going to go with Al Simmons. He's an old favorite of mine, and I'm not 100% sure that he won an MVP award, but he had a couple of really good seasons, so let's see if that works. Oh, okay, well, there goes the grid. We'll go with Jimmy Fox. Oops. I'll just type in Fox. We spell Jimmy I-E. All right, 3%. Probably could have done better there, but okay. MVP, Phillies. I'm going to go with Chuck Klein here. Again, he was like an old-time outfielder for the Phillies. I think he had like a 376 average season with some power. Another person I'd be, that I might go with here would be Lefty O'Doul. I'm pretty sure he played for the Phillies and not the A's, and he had like a near 400 season one year. But we'll go with Chuck Klein. Here we go, 1%. All right. Okay, Cubs, 3,000 career hits. I'm going to go with Rogers Hornsby here. Of course, his heyday was with St. Louis, but he did bounce around a bit after St. Louis, and I'm pretty sure the Cubs was one of the team that the Raja played for later in his career. Rogers Hornsby. No, maybe he didn't get 3,000 hits. Yeah, so that's the other thing. If you think about 3,000 hits, that is, if you play 15 years, that's averaging 200 hits, which is very hard to do. So yeah, you do need to think of players with some longevity and excellence over that longevity. Okay, well, the best I could do now is 7 out of 9. Ugh, getting pretty grim. With Cleveland again, so that's an interesting team to think about, and think about players that I remember growing up. So if you take 4 hitters like Kenny Lofton, Manny Ramirez, Albert Bell, and Julio Franco, conceivably, one or all of them could have had 3,000 hits, but I kind of doubt it. Like maybe Franco, but because he had such a long career. But he played a lot of that career at the end of his time as kind of like a part-time player. I was going to go with Napoleon Lajoie. Not 100% sure that's how you pronounce that last name. Because I'm pretty sure he did pass through Cleveland. And, he had a fairly long career, obviously had some really good years. All right, well, I'm going to go with a square that I'm pretty sure I'm going to get. So this one, it is an opportunity to use a Negro League player. And I've used a couple of Negro League players before. Willie Mays played in the Negro Leagues for a couple years, Larry Doby. But here we could use Satchel Paige, so a player whose heyday was actually in the Negro Leagues. And I'm pretty sure he played with the Kansas City A's and the Cleveland Indians. I think he ended his career in Cleveland. There we go, Satchel. I'm pretty sure Danny Jackson pitched for both the Cubs and the Phils. And I got to get the right Danny Jackson. It's going to be this one from the 80s and 90s. And I'm almost positive he pitched for the Phils. The Cubs, I'm less sure about. Okay, 0.02%. Okay, that's a good score. Now, Cleveland, Philly. Okay, so I mentioned this player a little earlier. I'm going to go with Julio Franco. I know he played for the Indians, had some really good years there, and I'm pretty sure he started his career in Philadelphia, actually. Franco. Okay, 0.9%. Too bad I messed up the grid. This would be a good grid. Okay, so Gossage. Okay, MVP, 3,000 career hits. I mean, we can go with someone like Ted Williams. Boy, I don't know if I want to dip below 7 here, so I think I want to stay pretty rock solid here. So I remember, I feel like I remember that Carl Yastrzemski might have had 3,000 hits, and he definitely won an MVP, you know, for his Triple Crown year. But 3,000 hits MVP, you know, Pete Rose is going to get a lot of answers here. I can't remember if Paul Molitor won an MVP. I'm quite sure he has the 3,000 hits. Just kind of curious. Yastrzemski, 22 years, yeah. We're not going to do Yastrzemski there. I'm going to check that later. I'm just kind of curious if Yastrzemski does have 3,000 hits, but I'm just going to eat this one. We'll go with Pete Rose, unless I could think of somebody who might have less. But Hank Aaron probably has just as many, but we'll go with Hammering Hank. He'll probably be a little bit less than Pete Rose. Hank Aaron, that's the one. All right, 7%. Okay, so I have one guess left, 3 squares. I have semi-educated guesses for, I believe, all 3 of them. I feel like Eddie Murray might have had 3,000 hits, so he would fit for the Cleveland square. I feel like Rich Gossage might have played in Oakland, as well as in Chicago. I know he played with the Cubs. And who is my Chicago with 3,000 hits? I can't remember who my get. Oh, Andre Dawson. No, I don't think Andre Dawson had 3,000 hits. So I think I'm going to go with Rich Gossage. I think that's probably my best guess here. There we go. That completed it. 213 rarity score, which is pretty good for missing 2. That means the remainder was 13. Okay, so what did I want to see? I want to see if Yastrzemski got 3,000 hits. So let's see if it brings up MVPs or 3. Oh, here we go. Yeah, Yaz would have worked. Robin Yount. Oh, Raw Crew, that would have been a good one. And then Cleveland, 3,000 hits. So that was, oh yeah, I'm curious if Eddie Murray made it to 3,000. Yeah, he did. Eddie Murray would have worked. Okay. Well, there we go. Boy, I'm a little deflated because I really thought I had a chance. Well, I did have a chance for the Immaculate Grid, but I made some missteps on old-timey players. But still, I got 7. A pretty good rarity score considering. So I'll go ahead and average that in, and we'll see where we're at the end of the 5 days. All right. Okay, so here are my results over the past 5 days. As you can see, I did not get an Immaculate Grid. My average was 7.2, which is, yeah, about where I'm usually at, slightly above the average, with an average rarity score of just under 250. In terms of players that hopefully I'll remember next time if they come up, that's what we see highlighted in yellow. Not so sure that I'm going to remember that Lil Stoner was a player with both Detroit and the Pittsburgh Pirates, but hopefully I do. That's kind of a fun name. Yeah, and one of the things, like, I really don't know anything about Cap Anson, just that he was one of the early great baseball players. So now I know that he played for the Chicago Cubs. So there you go. In any case, so that's my 5 days in review. And you know, in the 5 days leading into Labor Day, we'll see how I do. Hopefully I do better than 7.2.